I also have Siddharth here. Sid, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Hi everyone. Excited to get this. Just like everyone, I'm a spectator today, and I'm super excited to see this webinar. My role at Yubico is that of customer success. I manage the customer success function, and most of our I can see a lot of people that I work with join the chat. So hello everyone, and just like all of you, I'm super excited to see how ChatGPT can bring some productivity in both generating sales and what sort of roles it can play in email marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sid will be monitoring some of the questions. Garrett, thanks for mentioning that GA chat is disabled. We're going to look into that. Pretty sure we enabled it before starting the Zoom, but we'll look into that. Anyways, what we'll be doing is when you guys ask questions, we'll read the questions out loud and then I'll answer them. Okay, so while we wait for people to trickle in here, just a few housekeeping notes. So the recording and slides will be sent to you after the webinar. We're going to periodically stop for questions. So make sure you type them into the QA section. When we do, we're going to do a few polls throughout the webinar. So we're using a cool new tool called Slido. And so Slido puts a QR code on the slide. So you're just going to have to scan that with your phone, and then you're going to be able to select an option. And this is cool because we're going to actually be able to see in real time what everyone's answer is. So we're going to use that. And then, of course, at the end, we're going to do a Q&A session. So let's maybe start with the first, just to see if this functionality actually works. If you can scan the QR code and then type, let us know what is your top use case for using ChatGPT. So maybe keep 1 or 2 word answers. You can say marketing, sales. Is it really for recruiting? Is it to help you modify legal contracts? Is it to help you with your LinkedIn? So type in the words, and we're going to start to see a word cloud for the top use cases that you guys use ChatGPT for. Okay, so we have content, marketing strategies, sales. Okay, a bunch of new ones came up: coding, marketing copy, blog writing, content marketing. So content is a popular one. Okay, so it seems like a lot of it is content, which is great. Searching for new accounts. Coding is coming up. Coding is an interesting one. There's a product called GitHub Copilot that actually helps autocomplete code. So it's really a huge productivity tool for programmers. So, a lot of people are describing ChatGPT or AI in general right now, the huge wave of AI, as a copilot for X. So copilot for sales, copilot for marketing, copilot for legal. So we're seeing all these AI assistants that are speeding up your workflow, that are supercharging your workflow. But of course, today, what we'll be focused on is we'll be talking about lead generation. We'll be talking about how to use ChatGPT for your sales and marketing. So about me, I'm the co-founder at Yubico, based in Montreal, Quebec. My background is in computer science, and I have a pretty almost a decade experience of launching thousands of campaigns across email and social. So previously to Yubico, I ran an agency and we managed ad spend for some international brands. The game of generating leads and creating campaigns is one that I'm very familiar with. And I do think that AI really disrupts the way that we create campaigns. It makes it a lot more automated and a lot more personalized. So really what we'll be talking about today is it'll be very prompt focused. So we'll look at prompts for prospecting, for sales prospecting, and then prompts for copy. So how to use that to build personalized campaigns. Now, the reason why AI is important to use today is because it's similar to how software disrupted, or the cloud disrupted on-premise, and how software automated a lot of manual processes. The same thing is happening here with AI. AI is automating various parts, various components of a function. So in the case of sales, you can see that, perhaps your emails get automatically categorized today with reply handling AI. Perhaps you can generate copy, right, using ChatGPT or other tools like Jasper to help you write content. Perhaps you can use a conversation or conversational intelligence, something like a Gong.io that can actually listen to your calls, analyze and provide recommendations on how to improve your calls. So almost like a sales coach that's by your side 24/7. So really the AI-powered salesperson, the AI-powered professional is really going to get ahead here. And those who don't use AI are going to be left behind. And the way we describe it here is that, we're entering a new era of software. So we're entering generation 3.0. So the first was, as I mentioned previously, it was very manual, very traditional, pen and paper and on-prem instances. And then there was the whole transition to cloud. Cloud made it easier for you to connect your apps. It made it easy to sync your information between various different applications. And then what we're entering now is generation 3.0, which is do the work for me. So now that we have access to all this information across different applications, we'll be able to tell software, instruct it what to do for us, and then it's going to do the work for us. So that's kind of the era we're entering now. And it's quite timely because B2B buying has also changed dramatically. Buyers are getting younger, they're getting increasingly mobile, and they're expecting personalization. Because we have, and people have coined this as, B2B consumerization. So we're so used to applications or services like Netflix, where we can watch anything on demand. We're used to services like Uber Eats, where we can get food on demand. So B2B purchasing, B2B selling has to become a lot more personalized. And it's interesting to see that, actually potential buyers, customers form their opinions 2/3, or excuse me, they don't contact the sales team. They don't contact your company until they're roughly at 2/3 of the buying process. So they're forming their opinions on their own. They're speccing out their requirements list. They're narrowing down their options on their own, gathering and doing a lot of research on their own because they can find this information on the internet. Which means that, you as a business or as a go-to-market team, you have very minimal influence over the 2/3 of the buying process. So instead, that's why personalization becomes very, very important. You have to make sure you get the right message to the right person at the right time. And the way this is shifting go-to-market models is that we're sort of flipping the funnel. We're going from a traditional classic sales funnel where you have a lot of leads at the top and then you have conversion rates at every stage and then you generate customers at the bottom of the funnel. Now, in modern marketing, where personalization becomes a lot more important, we're flipping the funnel. We're starting with identification. So we're identifying which accounts do we want to go after. So we select a set target accounts within a market, and then we use personalization to deliver relevant content and messaging to each one of those accounts. And as we've discovered at Yubico, is that a lot of companies struggle with lead generation. They struggle to make this shift to a more personalized ABM funnel. And a good analogy we use to describe the types of leads you can generate are really seeds, nets, and spears. So seeds are really the opportunities that you get from referrals, the revenue you get from upsells. And nets are really the leads that come from one-to-many marketing campaigns. So it could be maybe a paid advertising campaign, a Facebook ad campaign, a Google ad campaign. That's one-to-many, and that's nets. So that's really the marketing function. And then there's spears, where this is one-to-one communication, one-to-one prospecting, which is typically what sales does, what business development teams do. So those are the three types of leads you can generate. And the first step to generating any leads is to do sales prospecting. So we'll talk about prompts for prospecting. First of all, what is a prompt? A prompt is the text you're writing into ChatGPT. And I'm gonna pull up ChatGPT, and I'm gonna show you a few examples, and we're gonna play around with a few prompts here. But a prompt is really just an instruction. So it's an instruction that you're giving to the AI. And so you want to be focused on making sure that you make the goal the focus of the conversation. This really ensures that everything stays relevant. You want to be specific as possible. So don't make any assumptions on the part of the AI, and try not to leave any room for misunderstanding, which means try avoiding jargon or terms that might not give it, might not put it into context. So any like industry specific jargon, we would avoid that. Don't ramble. You'll get much lower performance if you include way too much information. If you put in a lot of irrelevant information, the AI will struggle to figure out what to prioritize. So keep it succinct. Review, don't worry, your prompt you can always regenerate a response, or you can always recreate a prompt. So actually you'll be a lot more efficient if you make it more conversational, which I'll show you guys in a second on how to do that. But essentially is, don't think of getting the first prompt correctly. Don't overthink it. It doesn't need to be perfect. You can always regenerate the prompt. And then follow up. So, that's the point of making it conversational and making it iterative. So you'll be able to fine tune it, and you can, ask it if you're generating content, for example, and it spits out a piece of content. You can ask it to make it shorter. You can ask it to expand. So you can choose to fine tune it however you'd like, and then set guardrails. So if there's something you don't want ChatGPT to suggest, you can always include the phrase, don't include XYZ. Don't use this kind of phrase. Don't use this type of language. And when it comes to prospecting, we're doing all this. We're using AI. We're using ChatGPT to get to personalization. And really, when we look at personalization, we look at the three major factors, which is problem, prospect, and timing. In other words, we look at who do we talk to, what do we say, and when do we say it? So who, what, and when. The who is really prospect. So that comes with ideal customer profile, defining your ideal customer profile. The what is, what problem are you solving? What are your value propositions? What are the benefits of your product? And timing, when are you reaching out to them? When is it the best time to reach out to them? You can leverage intent data to try to find the best timing to reach out to a prospect. And really, if you achieve these three things, you get to the middle, which is the holy grail of personalization. So defining an ideal customer profile is super important because you really won't know what channels, what your pitch is going to be, your messaging is going to be until you're clear on your ICP. And also, your ideal customer profile is always evolving as years go on. So it's never a static thing. It's always a dynamic profile. And over time, your ideal customer profile actually should change because that means you're growing and you're improving as a company. So we're going to punch in a prompt here now, but essentially, what we look for when we determine an ICP is we look at three factors. What is the highest intensity of pain point? What is the customer segment with the highest pain point? What is the customer segment with the most revenue potential? And then what is the customer segment with the highest close rate? So this is important to consider these three factors. It could be that you discover that a segment has a lot of pain and you have a problem that can alleviate that. You have a solution that can help with that problem. However, the close rates aren't high enough. So, and also their revenue potential, they don't have dedicated budgets, or they're not, they don't value the problem in the same way. So that means that, yes, they have a high pain point, but they don't meet these two factors. And so they wouldn't make a good ICP. So you can use ChatGPT. So I'm going to open the website, chatgpt.openai.com. And I've already pre-written these prompts to save us some time here. But what I'm saying here is I'm selling a B2B sales outreach solution that helps businesses of all sizes streamline their B2B sales processes. Give me 5 buyers I should target in my cold outreach. And then I hit enter. So, of course, we're using GPT 3.5, which is much faster. There is the newest model, GPT-4, but it's much slower. So we'll use 3.5 for today's purposes. Now, it's given me 5 different profiles: startups, small, medium-sized enterprises, marketing agencies. These are typically enterprise businesses. These are typically the customers we target. So, you can ask it to give me 2 more that so e-commerce companies and real estate agencies. So that's a good way to just, quickly generate a few ideal customer profiles, even though they're very high level, they're very broad. They're not as specific as they need to be, but it's a good starting point. Now, the other thing we can do here with ChatGPT is we can start asking it questions. So now I can say, act as a potential buyer of my solution. You're an agency business owner with a small sales team, just found Yubico's website. Give me some questions you might ask for me, which I can qualify your buying intent. So over here, we have a few good questions that it's using to qualify our buying intent. For example, if I'm looking at this one, right, this comes up a lot. How does your platform integrate with other tools? How much training and support do we provide? What kind of analytics and reporting? So these are good questions to think about when you're prospecting. Now, the next question here is, now imagine that you're seriously considering buying my solution. What are some potential objections you might have? For each, give me 2 ways I could answer these objections as a salesperson. So, of course, we all, if we're in sales and marketing, we're aware that we'll be presented with objections from prospects. So it's helpful to know, what could be those objections, what could be those potential objections, and then how can we respond to some of those objections? So, of course, budget constraints. So over here, the answer is, I understand that the budget is a concern for many businesses. We offer different pricing tiers to accommodate a variety of budgets. Integration difficulties. We offer integration with popular CRM systems. We also provide support and resources to help your team get up and running with our platform. So it just gives you, the point is not to, for this to be the last draft, but really for this to be the first draft, the starting point. How others refer to it is it eliminates writer's block. It just gives you a good way of starting a initial draft, your first initial response to an objection. Now, another way, of course, that we can do lead generation is through social selling. So, LinkedIn is an extremely popular platform. We're all on LinkedIn. This is how we found, most of you found this event. So suggest 5 personal branding archetypes I could use for social selling on LinkedIn as a B2B sales account executive. For each archetype, give me 3 examples or topics or content I could share. So I often struggle. I mean, I personally don't do enough. I don't write enough content on LinkedIn. It's something I'd like to do. And using ChatGPT, I can quickly get ideas for articles and content that I could share. So it's giving me 5 different archetypes, and then different content pieces, types of content I can share. Now I'm going to show you guys something a little more advanced. We're going to use ChatGPT to do prospect research and personalization. So over here, we have a prompt that takes in someone's LinkedIn profile and then finds 5 elements from their resume that we could mention to catch their attention. So I'm going to paste the pre-written prompt I have here. Now, what's cool is that maybe some of you don't know this, but you can actually export a person's LinkedIn profile. So I'll take Sid's profile here. I'll hit more, save to PDF. Now this has saved the profile. What I'll do here is I'll copy this entire text. So Command A to copy all the text. And then I'll just paste it the way I copied it. So I don't have to worry about formatting here. I don't have to clean it up. I'll just paste the entire LinkedIn profile from the PDF. And then I'll hit enter. So now it spits out, different elements I could use to grab their attention. This is cool. So fluent in multiple languages. Yes, I know that Sid is fluent in multiple languages, and I can actually use that to personalize my outreach. So what's cool is that with ChatGPT, you can import or paste in data. So you can do this with LinkedIn profiles, but you can also do this with just websites. So I can copy all the text of this website, a customer's website, start.io, summarize the following website, and I paste the entire thing. And then it gives me a quick description about them. So this is useful for when you're doing prospect research, when you're trying to, often figure out what the prospect company, what they actually do. And this can give you just some simple text that you can use as a way of getting a description. So you can do this also with case studies. So I can take their case study on our website and say, summarize the following case study. And then it gives me really good text that summarizes the case study. And I can say, make it longer and with a friendlier tone. So this is the part about role playing with ChatGPT, is you can kind of go back and forth with it, and then you can fine tune it. You can give it further instructions to either make it shorter, longer, if you want to change the tone. And as I said, the point is that you're not going to maybe use this entire text here, but you're going to use little snippets of it that you find very interesting. So are you guys starting to see the power in this? You can leverage various different data types. So LinkedIn profile, for example, is demographic and firmographic data points. But of course, what could make ChatGPT generate even more personalized content is if you feed it other types of data. So could be contextual or behavioral data. Now, a useful plugin that was released maybe 2 days ago was a ChatGPT plugin by Clearbit. And Clearbit is a data enrichment company, and you can use their ChatGPT plugin to enrich a lot of the prospects that you feed or that you're trying to generate content for. So the combination of ChatGPT and a data enrichment company like Clearbit via the ChatGPT plugin, you can generate very personalized content. Because yes, I used Sid's LinkedIn profile, but I didn't use maybe some data points that were missing from his LinkedIn profile. For example, I can get data points that maybe he's attended this webinar today. Maybe he's engaged with a few of our emails in the past. I can get this sort of data if I integrate it via the plugins. Now, a quick question for you guys now. Let me know what your top performing channel for lead generation is. So scan the code here and just select one of the options. Is it content and SEO? Is it referrals? Is it other channels? Is it email outbound? Is it paid search ads? Is it social, or is it trade shows and events? Okay, so it seems like referrals really is at the top. Of course, that is really the best channel for lead generation, is happy customers referring more customers. That's a powerful channel. Email outbound seems outbound comes second with 25% of you. And then content, trade show, and others are matched for third. Awesome. So now we'll talk about prompts for copy, and specifically how to build out an entire personalized campaign. So now we can get a little more detailed here. We can get a little more advanced. We can use the AIDA framework. And the AIDA framework, AIDA is a classic framework in copywriting. So it stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. So you can, with the first part, attention, you want to hook people with either a catchy subject line or a very interesting opening line. So you want to make them go, oh, I have to read this. So that's kind of the response you want from the first opening hook. Then interest is you want to, share some knowledge about your product or service, and then show them how it could fix their problems and why they should care. Desire is, focus on the benefits, brag about the benefits a little, share a testimonial from a happy customer, or comparisons that make you guys different and better. And then action. So give them a clear call to action so that they know exactly what to do next. And then it could be in the form of a discount or a special limited time offer. So that's really the AIDA framework, and we can feed this prompt into ChatGPT, and we can generate some copy using the AIDA framework. So I've already pre-filled this out. So over here, it gives me a few ideas for subject line. So don't miss out, skyrocket your sales with Yubico. Say goodbye to messy data, hello to high quality leads. And then it gives me an example of an email body that we can use. This I actually really like. This is something we would potentially use. And then it's nice that it put actually it put a quote from the case study that I shared previously. So what's great about ChatGPT is it's improving in its memory. So it's essentially able to take the previous prompts, the previous outputs, and use it for context for the prompts you do after that. Another cool thing you can do here is you can build out an entire outreach sequence. So sometimes we struggle to think of new ideas of how we can build out multi-channel sequences. We of course know that multi-channel leads to the highest conversion rates. So you need to do email, you need to do social, LinkedIn, and you need to do phone calls. You need to mix those channels. Multi-channel approach leads really to the highest conversion rates. So what we want to do is we want to build out an outreach sequence. We'll actually make it 30 days long with 7 touch points. Okay, so here it's giving us various different touch points. And it's even giving us the day that we should do it at. So it's giving us the day delays. So if I scroll up here, the first day is the first email. This is assuming that it's thanking us, it's an inbound lead. So we could have specified, oh no, actually we did specify that they're asking for a demo request, which is great. And then day 3, we're sending a LinkedIn message. So it generated the initial connection request message, then the second email at day 7, and then a call. We can even generate call scripts here, so we could probably follow up with that. But the point is that it's given you a simple but good multi-touch, multi-channel sequence. So of course, some other use cases, you could ask it to handle objections. So you can use the role play angle. So you can say, you know, assume I'm a potential buyer of the solution. You know, I have pricing as an objection. Give me ways to answer this pricing objection. You can summarize call notes. So you can paste the entire transcript of your call notes, and then you can summarize them entirely. And the cool thing is you don't have to worry about the structure of the data. It can take very unstructured data. So you can just copy the entire transcript and paste it, and then it'll summarize the call notes. And then even problem solving. So for example, if you're stuck on some technical issue, for example, in email outreach, email deliverability is a very important thing. You may run into some roadblocks where maybe your emails are getting caught in spam. So you want to ask ChatGPT, hey, my emails are being sent to spam. What are some potential ways I can land in the inbox? How do I improve my email deliverability? And then it's going to give you a few answers and a few potential solutions you can action on. And you can do this virtually for really any marketing or sales topic. So it's instead of going through Google and landing on a company's blog and maybe not getting the succinct info that you need, you can just use ChatGPT for that. So it can speed up your workflow. So we talked about ideal customer profile, the who. We talked about copy generation, the what, and now timing. So when to reach out to prospects. And a good way to think about this is, the when to reach out to a prospect is usually you're trying to find clues and signals that companies leave on the internet that tell you that they're in market, potentially in market to buy your product or solution. So it could be that, they're hiring for a specific role. It could be that they have a new executive. It could be that they just installed a new CRM. It could be that they're expanding into a new region. So all these signals can give you can increase the likelihood that the lead is ready to buy a product or solution. So for example, if you're an agency owner and you're selling SEO services, you probably want to find companies that are hiring SEO specialists or are hiring marketing specialists, because this tells you that they have an initiative internally around SEO. So it's good timing to reach out to them. And so this is what it would look like. And by the way, you can use AI to generate these intro sentences. So you can see that a prospect published a new LinkedIn post. Could be that the company released a press release. Could be that the company's created a new product. Could be that they release a blog post, and so on. But the truth is that, yes, all these things are great for personalizing outreach. But the truth is that you don't need it to be extremely personalized all the time. Sometimes there is such a thing as, you're spending too much time doing personalization, and it's costing you too much time, and it's leading to poor results. So really, a semi-custom is usually the best fit for outbound. So it's the good old 80-20 rule, where 80% of it is templated and 20% of it is personalized and it's customized, which means that you're looking for that intro sentence, you're looking for that intent data, you're using ChatGPT to summarize and find interesting, relevant data points you can use on a prospect's profile. And this is usually best fit for outbound. Of course, if your contracts are very enterprise level, 150,000, or they're $1 million contracts, most of your email is going to need to be personalized. It also probably means your market is much smaller. So, you probably don't want to use too much automation and personalization, too much automation because you have a small target market. So, and of course, if the deals are much smaller and deals are coming inbound, most of it should be templated. Most of it can be automated, and you can use AI to do that. And one quote that I really like is, and a lot of marketers have cited this quote, which is, you want to enter the conversation already taking place in your customer's mind. So that trifecta we talked about, the problem, who to talk to, the prospect, who to talk to, the problem, what to say, and the timing, when to say it. That's really trying to reach the prospect when they're thinking about your product or solution. So, cold email is a big part of lead generation. Outreach is a big part of lead generation. And really, the anatomy of any outreach email or LinkedIn is 3 components. You want personalization, you want a clear offer, and a clear call to action. And so the common mistakes that people make is they make it too much about them and their company. So there's too much like, hey, we're a company, we do XYZ, and here's what we're really good at. There's not enough information about the prospect. There's not enough research about the prospect. Usually they're very long, so it makes it hard to read. A lot of people open emails first on mobile, and then if they like it, they will keep it in their inbox, and they'll usually answer it on their laptops. Or if they don't like the email, it's too long, they'll just archive it or delete it and they'll never get to it. The problem of using sometimes too much automation is it sounds too robotic. And then it's too specific. The call to action is always about the meeting. That's a common mistake. People are very busy. Everyone's always busy. So you don't want to make it about the meeting. Typically, you want to use a softer call to action. And I'm going to show you some examples here, and credit goes to Kyle Coleman. I advise everyone to follow him on LinkedIn. I really enjoy his content. He often, when he gets cold emails, he gives people feedback and then he posts it on LinkedIn for others to learn. So he's a very good resource. So this example, for example, of two versions, you have one that's 170 words, the other is 44 words. So this one makes pretty much all the mistakes we talked about, makes it too much about them. Instead, if you shorten it to 44 words, you're making it a lot easier to read, and you're making the call to action a lot clearer, and you're explaining exactly, you're really asking the right question that goes into the problem that the prospect may have. So here's another example. This company actually used bullet points to explain their solution. It's very feature-oriented. Rather, this version, which is shorter, this intro sentence here is a good form of personalization, which took the employee count of the sales department at Clary. And that's a very good, good intro sentence. And of course, the call to action is curious to learn more, which is a softer ask than get some time on someone's calendar. And then same thing here. You just look at the two, the one on the right is just, it's visually also just much easier to read. And here, this is an okay level of personalization. It's sharing more of an industry stat. All right, so that's it for today's presentation. Please, if Sid, if you can bring up maybe some questions that people have.
Sure. Thanks again. Thanks, Phil, for the presentation. There were some extremely cool takeaways from this session, I would say, especially around role playing and detailing the prompts with ChatGPT, which was quite new to me personally. There are some questions coming through. There's one which is a very interesting one. Should we be worried that taking ChatGPT responses feels too automated for the recipient? Can people tell that AI wrote this copy? Which is an interesting question.
Yeah, it's a good question. So it really does increase the standard. So sellers are going to have to get very personalized with their outreach, because the mass emails that are sloppy, like the ones you saw on the left-hand side, those just will not work anymore. So the standard is going to be much higher. And like I said, for outbound, you can make it 80-20. So 80% of it can be templated, 20% could actually be you putting in your input. And this is great because it still forces you as the seller to do your research on the prospect. It still forces you to actually, determine if that's even a good company to reach out to, if they're a good ideal customer profile fit. So I think actually it helps with your overall, it helps with your productivity. So it helps the seller, but for the buyer, the person, the recipient on the other end, they're getting something that's a lot more personalized. It's a lot more clear, and it's potentially a solution that can help solve a problem for them.
There's another question from Ram. Do we get the recording or PowerPoint presentation? Yes, Ram, you will receive the recording of the presentation sometime later today.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. We have another question from Nadia. I always include a CTA asking for a meeting in all my email touch points. Should I reformulate my approach with a softer CTA?
So Nadia, fantastic question. I think so. I think it's a matter of also testing and experimenting, experimenting both approaches. But yes, something that we're seeing that's working a lot is if you offer to send someone a quick video, or if you can send someone a quick audit. If you're, for example, selling web development services, maybe you can the call to action could be, hey, would you be open, or would you like to receive a quick audit from us on your website, from your website? So yes, you can test the softer call to actions. It usually leads to a more conversational response, and so it improves the conversion rates. So the answer is, in short, yes. I think you should test that.
So we have one last question here.
Yeah.
You'd mentioned Clearbit in your presentation, Phil. Is there a similar AI integration with ZoomInfo?
Not sure. I'm pretty well. I think they'll come up with it soon. But I think the ChatGPT plugin is really Clearbit only. And actually, if you guys are interested, the next webinar we'll have next month, it's going to be a more advanced one with ChatGPT plugins. So we're going to go over how to use Clearbit for that. But I'm not sure about ZoomInfo. And then the last person asks, for companies looking for opportunities in various countries, channel behavior is different in each culture. AI can discern which approach is best for each one. Yes, it's very true that different countries, different parts of the world have different cultures. And so the way you communicate with prospects needs to really change. That's for sure. So the good thing about ChatGPT is, like I said, one of the use cases you could use it for, like, problem solving. So you can ask this question to ChatGPT and ask it to give you some recommendations on how to approach those prospects from different regions in the world. Okay, cool. Sid, is that all?
Yep, that's all we got.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, please let us know. We're always available to talk about AI and outreach and lead gen. We'll be sending this presentation to you guys shortly, in the next day or two. So look out for an email from us. And yeah, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on this webinar and learn with us. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day.